Welcome everyone to Wearable Wednesday, and it's a pleasure to be back with you, and we're very excited. I'd like to say hello to my cohorts today. Of course, we have with me my faithful sidekick, Wearable Wendy. Hi Wendy, how are you?
Good, how are you, Tim? Good to see you.
Good to see you after a big week in Vegas. And of course, we've got a very special guest here, our homeboy doing homework at Epson America. Big Mike, how are you, sir?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Tim.
Good. It's great to see you, bud. And we may get a special visit from Eric, but he's off with Mr. Epson, so we'll get with him in a little while. First off, today our show is completely dedicated to the movario, and we'll be doing this once a month. We call it the Movario Monthly because there is so much going on with this incredible device, the BT200, that every month it's morphing into new uses. More people are using it. Designer network and developer network is available and open, and people are developing apps, and there's just so much enthusiasm about the product. If you have not tried the product, you need to go to Epson and check out some of the videos that are there. They don't do it justice, but it's about as close as you're going to get without having the BT200 actually being able to wear it, hear the Dolby surround sound, see the beautiful images, and it by far has the best optics of any smart glass around. Let's go ahead and get right into our show and talk a little bit about, before we get into things with Mike, talk a little bit about where we were last week. We were at Vision West out in Las Vegas, and it was absolutely, I posted some of the pictures in this the event here, and it was absolutely overwhelming. Wendy, you were there. Why don't you tell them a little bit about the area that we had set up for the Movario and the feedback from the eye care professionals that came around, tried it on. Now, I will tell you this, we had Google Glass there. We also had the Vuzix M100, and then they got to the Epson Movario, and what was the reaction?
It was, it far exceeded the expectations that I had around the Movario device, having it be so new to our organization and what we're promoting. But it was, you know, it was really interesting dynamic because I was doing glass demos, and then I was walking people to the music station, and then I'd bring them around the back to the Epson side, and you know, we had the devices set up. We had a couple different devices going. One that was running an office program so people could see the virtual office platform, and the other was the personal entertainment version of it. And it was just this big grin they got on their faces every time they put it on and or put the headphones on. But then, you know, the ECPs, the eye care professionals, started to ask the questions, well, what happens if my patients can't see? So, and that's exactly why we were there, was to talk about our smart frames and smart gold lenses. But the other piece of it was we had this DJI drone, the Phantom, in our booth, and we were flying it and allowing people to watch first person through the Epson Movario what the drone was doing from the camera. So that was a big draw to the booth, and it was just nonstop. We had people from Colombia, Ireland, Germany, Canada, I mean, just all over the world that they want to get their hands on this device and be offering it to their patients along with a prescription solution. So it was just, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was overwhelming for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What was really neat was when some of them were putting it on. We had, oh, I forget what the trailer was. Mike and Eric were so nice of to provide the sizzle reel that they had at South by Southwest, and it kind of goes through a few movie images with incredible audio, and that's where the Movario smile was coming out. Was everybody was putting this on? We put on their headset, and they were just like, "Oh my goodness!" It was amazing.
And we didn't get a break.
Very exciting stuff.
We did not get a break. It was non-stop from the time the booth opened at 9:30 in the morning until 6 o'clock at night. Those Epsons were going non-stop. So it was crazy. It was crazy. We thought we were a big deal at Vision Expo East, and this just blew us out of the water. So we're very excited about this.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys, Mike, sending out uh, the uh, the samples and us being able to have 8 BT200s there. Every single one of them were in use all day long. So thank you for letting us use those from Team Epson. And tell us, what have you guys been hearing? You guys have been all over the place too. I mean, you're traveling a lot more than we are. And what kind of feedback are you getting from the user community?
Yeah, well, first of all, again, thanks you guys for having me on. And I'd say some of the most exciting areas are ones that you've been following pretty closely, Tim, as well, particularly with quadcopters or these unmanned aerial vehicles. People really want a first-person viewer solution, something that's transparent and lets them keep an eye on whether it's a quadcopter or a drone or some other device that they're working with. And the integration points we found are really starting to increase. First, there was DJI. We're working with them, and their application works on the BT200. But we're beginning to see some other developments and trying to figure out solutions for how we can work with the rest of the drones and the rest of the quadcopters that are out there. So that one's always exciting. We have a couple videos we just put on our YouTube channel from some other partners who are just beginning to work on cool solutions, including one from someone who's working on low vision and trying to figure out how can they build a solution for macular degeneration. So it's not just fun use cases like flying a quadcopter, but how can we use this technology in a positive way to impact people who, for a long time may have had a very hard time seeing or doing things that many of us take for granted. So very in line also with what you guys do at Rochester Optical, trying to enhance and improve people's ability to see. And I think this one, there's a video we put on called, I believe it's Re-Sight, or Re-Engineering Sight, and it's a great video showing kind of where the technology is going and how it's going to, long-term really improve, again, new technology.
Yeah, and we'll look up that video from the Epson site and drop it here in the thread. Let's talk a little bit more about this, Mike, because when we were showing the copter or the drone at Vision West, a lot of people said, "Oh, neat toy," and we get that, right? I mean, it's flying, it's fun to do, but Eric was interviewed a couple months ago about first person view, and also what Epson is doing with these devices. And there's a lot of important uses that these drones and the BT200 can do, like for disaster relief or inspection where humans, it's not safe for them to go. These devices can actually now save a human or don't put them in harm's way for a lot of different uses. And once we started talking about that a little bit, people were like, "Oh, I didn't even think about that," right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have to admit I'm guilty as well of thinking that drones were just kind of a hobbyist toy or something that, a very small subsection of the population is going to use or play with. But we found, like you said, that there's real use cases. First of all, I mean, if you ever just want to see what people are doing from a photography standpoint and videography, it's phenomenal. These drones are outfit with 1080p cameras, and they have gimbals to stabilize the image, so it's taking phenomenal imagery, not only just for capturing nature, for example, for like National Geographic, but also for surveyors who are looking over large patches of land or real estate developers. So real use cases in that scenario. But then also, as you said, disaster relief. There's a lot of cases where people really can't enter certain areas, whether it's I mean, obviously there's fires, there's things right now happening in California where drones could be very helpful with the wildfires spreading, areas like that, and the ability to be able to keep an eye on your drone is extremely important, and that's something that we're really proud that the Movario can do with its transparency, enabling people to really keep an eye on it and make sure it's an expensive investment that they're not going to have any latency and accidentally crash the drone if they're only looking through the camera stream. So now they can keep an eye on both. But in general, that kind of spurred thought is the idea. We have a lot of hardware that we play with, and we see how will it integrate with the device, with the glasses, and things like drones. Again, the immediate reaction is, oh, that's kind of a fun hobbyist toy, but we think there's tons of uses. One other one that I think of is called Bubble Cam, and we worked with them at SIGGRAPH this year. It's a 360-degree camera, kind of shaped like a little sphere. And
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, consumer-wise, it's really cool. You can imagine, like a Shaun White or some snowboarder wearing it on their helmet and getting this incredible footage. Because right now, GoPros are fantastic, but this might even add another layer to it. But then we thought of the real use cases, and the same thing. Think of disaster or emergency response. They can throw this 360-degree camera into a zone that's been compromised and get a live stream showing everything that's happening in that area, so that before a firefighter or someone enters the area, they know what's going on. And so again, whether it's drones, whether it's stuff like that, there's a lot of hardware that we think has cool potential when integrated with the movario.
Yeah, it's amazing, and we're not even barely touching the surface. And so if you have questions about anything that we've just talked about, you can hit up Epson America on Twitter. You've got Mike's, you can see here on the screen his Twitter handle, and they're very active in social media, so ping them and they'll be happy to give you some more details. Now, let's move forward, because last week we were at Vision West and we missed the Qualcomm announcement on the 18th. When Qualcomm announced the new AR or VR platform Euphoria, and how that's going to be tied in with our developers and the BT200. Tell us a little bit about Euphoria and why that's such a gigantic announcement.
Yeah, I have to say, Eric and I were kind of like kids at a candy shop when we saw
I bet.
It's truly a game changer. I mean, we didn't know what to expect with any sort of calibration utility or SDK that's built specifically for augmented reality. And so, just as a little background, if people have ever used augmented reality before, you may have noticed that whether you're looking through a tablet or whatever device you were using, essentially it always has to use the front-facing camera of that device. So you hold a tablet, the camera recognizes a unique marker or image, and then triggers content. And most consumers have maybe seen this in magazines, or McDonald's ran an AR campaign where kind of gimmicky marketing, kind of fun, but not real-world use case in a lot of people's opinion. But the problem was, again, it wasn't really putting digital content on the real world. It was a rebroadcast. It was overlaying that image still inside your iPad or whatever device it was. Now, with the glasses, we ran into the same problem. We were trying to do AR, and it was putting imagery on top of a marker or a product or device, but it was offset to the left or to the right because it wasn't really aligning one-to-one with the real-world object. And that is what Euphoria's new SDK has enabled. It's amazing. For the first time, you can look at a product, and one of the demos that's really compelling is by a partner of ours called Scope Augmented Reality, and they show a water pump, and you can actually watch as the digital content is overlaid directly on top of the real-world object. So no longer is it over to the left or right. It's right there, so that when a worker is trying to see, what tool should I use, what screws am I unscrewing, how should I safely remove a part or service this machine, it's happening right in front of them in a way that even I, as a unskilled worker, could potentially take a look at a piece of machinery and service it successfully.
Yeah, and all people have to do to kind of grasp that is go over to the Qualcomm Euphoria site and look at some of those videos. I mean, this is a whole new ball game now, right? Some of the stuff we've seen from VR and AR, kind of primitive, but that's gone.
I think so. I think this is Eric mentioned it, and you'll see it if you take a look at the Qualcomm announcement video. You know, it's a game changer where it really will open the doors. So whereas previously we felt a lot of the demos we had were fantastic proofs of concept and really showed where the technology was going, they were still a little bit off. They weren't exactly where we wanted it to be for actual deployment in the workplace or for consumers. And I think that's what this really will enable, is people to take it to the next level and help us go from the pilot phase where we're really showing people the technology to actually deploying it and making a difference where workers are becoming more efficient or effective.
Yeah, it's really going to help also the Epson movario, the whole line really, as this thing continues to grow and develop into better and better devices, really become a preeminent enterprise tool. You know,
Yeah,
some of the other monocular devices don't have the incredible optics that the VT200 has, and is built for that kind of overlay and helpful descriptions of what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and so forth.
absolutely.
Now, tell us a little bit about. I know you know we don't want you to disclose anything that you can't, but what are some of the exciting things that are coming from the movario? I know that our developer network is now public, and that's people are signing up for that. Of course, the Euphoria SDK is available, so now developers can really start sinking their teeth into that. But what are some other things that are coming from the movario line in general as we look towards the holidays?
Yeah. So I think you know, you mentioned how we're working a lot with enterprise, and I mentioned as well that that's a big area for us. But an exciting thing is we're trying to figure out how to build just useful applications in general. So presently, as you know, as a user of Movario, there's not a ton of apps available. You can certainly sideload your own apps to see how they work and test them. But we are trying to build out our Movario apps market, and that began recently, maybe a month or so ago. And we've begun to populate it with apps that are optimized for our glasses, as opposed to optimized for a mobile, like a tablet or a phone experience.
Right.
So with that, we're beginning to work more and more with companies that can help us produce those and enable developers to do their, to build things even easier. For example, whether it's going to the Unity conference up in Seattle a month ago to learn much more about the Unity platform and how we can enable developers to build games for the Movario that take advantage of head tracking, that take advantage of some of the unique sensors and differentiating features of the glasses. So what that came out of is we found we got a lot of feedback from our developers saying, hey, we all develop in Unity, or a lot of us do. Can you help us build a plugin or some way that will remove these barriers? So if I build a game in Android right now, I can simply port it over to the Movario with very small amounts of work, and maybe just a little bit of sensor control. But that we think will be really helpful because for a developer, I mean, if you're putting a game in Google Play, of course there's a huge audience, but there's also already a ton of apps. And so we do want to allow people, hey, look, we realize this is a nascent category. There's not millions and millions of users by any means of smart glasses, but it's cool to be one of the first people to get an app in the App Store, a really compelling game, especially one if all you had to do is port over your existing Android APK with a few tweaks, and then we can help Epson. The one thing we can offer is a lot of co-marketing support. So when people build these games, we're happy to give them support and use our press team and kind of marketing muscle to help push their game out to an audience because hey, they built it for Movario, but it also might be on a lot of other platforms.
Yeah, and I will tell you that I think you and the whole team there in Long Beach deserve some kudos. You guys do provide some of the best support and interest in what everybody's doing out here that are developing for the product or are looking forward to developing for the product. So kudos to everybody there in Long Beach. And I have to make a big shout out to Ron Plouffe. Sorry you couldn't be here, but you can at least tweet at Ron. And I owe you a video really, really bad. Hey, while we're on the subject, Wendy, maybe you want to show them one practical way that you're using the movario in the real world, kind of like what Mike's talking about with. Well, you tell them. I don't need to tell them.
Well, I have this slick little keyboard that it's teeny tiny, fits in my shoulder bag, and I also have this Microsoft Comfort mouse, and those go with me wherever I go. So, you know, week from Monday, we're headed out to San Francisco for the Wearable Tech Monetization Summit, and I intend to be working the entire flight from my movario because I do have the Office product loaded on my movario, and I'm able to do email, word processing. I can do all my budgeting on spreadsheets and things of that nature. Not to mention my Kindle books are loaded on here as well. So, and my favorite movie, Pride and Prejudice. So I'll be all set for the flight to San Francisco a week from Monday with my movario.
Yeah, pretty cool, really. And you know, one of the other things that we have is when you put your movario on. I think one of the real cool things, the movie experience is fantastic. So, of course, I wear my movario. But we've also come up with the magnetic shields that just pop on and off, and they're great. This one's got a little bit of a blue tint to it. You can see I look like a movie star, but they're pretty dope, and you can use them with. We're using them with Outlook Mail and PowerPoint, Word, Excel. So really, during your workday, you don't. I mean, I don't even take a laptop, so that's pretty awesome. Mike, one more thing I wanted to talk with you about. I know you're very busy, but encouragement for our developers. We've got a whole site now that's up for the developers. The SDK is there. What do you want to say to these guys, of course, other than hurry up?
Yeah, no, we're really excited to be building out this kind of developer community, and it started back with the BT 100, you know, back to late 2011. And the cool thing about being a movario developer is you really can have a real impact on the actual product. And what I mean by that is all the changes that happened from BT 100 to BT 200 were largely coming from feedback from developers who said, hey, your optics are great, but with the BT 100, the weight was obviously way too much. There weren't any sensors, and so it was limited. Now with the BT 200, I think we've come a long way. The weight is down 60%. There's a lot of embedded sensors, but still, we realize there's still limitations, and in many ways, this is a product we're actively trying to improve. So as a developer, when you start working on it, building applications, one, as I mentioned earlier, your applications are going to be very featured because there's not, you know, we're talking still in the 50s or the 100s of applications, so it's not as hard to find it if you build a unique solution that no one else has. And additionally, because there's not millions of apps on it already, there's a lot of kind of open space to really be creative and figure out how you can build a unique solution for the device. And then lastly, we'll provide support. We're really excited at what people are building. And so anything we can do, as Tim mentioned, both Eric and I do our absolute best to keep on top of all the questions and work with our technical support team to provide developer information. But you know, we really just want to enable people to kind of realize their dreams. And we know this is a nascent community, the smart glasses, but it's really growing fast. And so if you have ideas, happy to speak with you about them, or just share emails or tweet, you know, at me about it, and we can try to figure out if there's a way to get it off the ground. Finally, we also work with a company called prelaunch.com, and they kind of run our developer program right now in terms of units. And what they can offer, while we don't have actually, you know, like units to loan out to people, just unfortunately we can't make them in that bulk to be sending them out left and right, but they do offer 30-day loaner periods so that people can at least try out the glasses, maybe test an existing Android APK on it, you know, see if it's the right fit for their use case. We don't want people to buy this product under any false pretense. We realize there's still some things that we need to work on from a hardware perspective, and so if it works for your application, we're going to help support it. help get you some, press and publicity, and then really, again, take that feedback to not only improve our developer program, but hopefully even improve the hardware with direct suggestions from the community.
Mm-hmm.
Which is awesome. Really, that's quite a change from the glass experience, right? Where you had to drop $1,500 and then kind of figure it out. That's really, really kind of Epson. It shows that where their heart is and where their motivation is. So, Mike, thank you so much for joining us this month. We'll look forward to seeing you next month for Movario Monthly, and we'll update everybody on where things are at. Real quick, Mike, for them to reach you or to reach out, what's the best way?
Yeah, I'd say the best way is either my Twitter handle, which is listed right there. Our YouTube channel, we actually monitor it pretty closely as best we can. We update the videos and try to keep an eye on the comments. So if you're interested in a particular topic, maybe just take a look at that video and drop a line. But honestly, the absolute best way is to go to the Movario developer website, and as soon as you register there or submit an inquiry or an idea or whatever it might be, we actually monitor every single inquiry that comes through. Can't guarantee we'll get back to you within a couple hours, but we usually try to get back to you as soon as possible. We do have a small team here, so we just have to monitor it as best we can. But again, that would be step one. If you have any interest in becoming a developer, just go ahead and register, or if you're just interested, register anyway, because that way we'll have your information in our database, and we can respond to you from our Movario email or from my email address or Eric's. So Eric's Twitter is @WTEric, E-R-I-C. So also feel free to tweet at him if you have specific questions.
Perfect. Thank you, my man, and we will be, of course, you and I talk all the time, but we'll look forward to seeing you back here next month. Thank you very, very much. We'll put all these links for you in the video. They'll also be in the event so that you guys can follow through. It'll be nice, click and engage with Epson and become a Movario family member. Thanks again to Epson, Eric, and Mike. Eric will be with us next time, I'm sure. And just so you know, next week here on Wearable Wednesday, Wendy and I will be talking in depth about the upcoming event that we'll be at out in Silicon Valley, San Francisco. We'll be there for the Wearable Tech Monetization Summit. And there'll be some pretty big players there. You probably heard of them, like Virgin Atlantic, Nike, some of our favorite wearables like Misfit, and some others. We'll also have a lot of our Epson glasses. We'll have them there for you guys to try them out, and some of our other things too. And we look forward to meeting you all there. We'll keep you all posted. But that's it for this week. Wendy, you got anything else you want to say to everybody?
No, I'm good. I'm already looking forward to next week's episode.
Killer. Mike, thank you, my friend. And we'll see all of you right here next week on Wearable Wednesday.
Bye.